Hey guys, this is Dawson Discussions, and my name is Nathan L. Dawson Jr. Today's date is April 17th, 2020. On this episode, I will be talking about budgeting and how I think this skill can help build black wealth in the United States of America, so stay tuned. As a disclaimer, I do fully support a black economic empowerment plan because of the effects of slavery from 1619 to 1865 and Jim Crow from 1865 to 1968, and of course, benign neglect adopted by our politicians, especially federal politicians, since 1971. Also, in May 2019, President Donald Trump signed Executive Order 13872, which is the Economic Empowerment Plan for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. So, yes, I do support a Black Economic Empowerment Plan that's very similar to that of that executive order, but I don't think that will happen anytime soon in the near or far future. So we have to start from our at the ground floor and work on our personal finances as a whole. Okay, moving on. So budgeting. Well, the word budgeting conjures up a lot of negative thoughts for people. The concepts of budgeting and freedom just do not seem to go together. But the truth is that budgeting does not restrict your freedom; it promotes it. Used consistently, a budget is simply you telling your money where it went and where it should go instead of wondering where it went. So, used consistently, a budget is simply you telling your money where it should go instead of wondering where it went. The habit of managing your money is more important than the amount of money you have. It's not about how much you make, but rather how much you keep and retain. Waiting until you have plenty of money before you begin to manage it is looking through the wrong end of the telescope. It is the equivalent of an overweight person thinking, I will start a diet and exercise as soon as I lose weight. If you do not find a way to manage your money, the lack of it will always going to manage you. So, what is the etymology of the word budget? Early 15th century comes from the word bouget, B-O-U-G-E-T, which means a leather pouch, small bag, or sack. From Old French, bouget, diminutive of bouget, leather bag, wallet, pouch. From Latin, bolga, leather bag, a word of Gaulish origin as compared to Old English, boge, bag. Britain, boch, which is a flax pod, and also from PIE, belch, BHELGH, to swell, extend from of root or BHEL. Number two, to blow, swell. The modern financial meaning, the statement of probable expenditures and revenues, come from 1733, is from the notion of the Treasury Minister keeping his fiscal plans in a wallet. Also used from the late 16th century in a general sense of a stock, store, or collection of miscellaneous items, which led to 18th century transfers into bundle of news. Hence the use of the word as the title of some newspapers. So, in the world of finance, there are just two things you can do to improve your situation: increase your income and or reduce your expenses. There are multiple ways to increase your income so you can pay off debt more quickly and or invest for the long term, which ultimately increases your net worth, thus making you even more wealthy. In order to increase your income, you can do one or more of the following: finding a second job or side gig like driving for Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, DoorDash, or Postmates. Making money from some freelance work from the skills you're good at and enjoy, like writing, photography, graphic design, bookkeeping, and even become like a professional person who actually edits other people's writings for like that. Also, selling used items online, choosing the adequate withholding so only the necessary taxes are taken out. And note, this is not an exhaustive list, but just are some examples. There are also multiple ways to reduce your expenses so you can pay off debt more quickly and or invest for the long term. To do this, usually it's to cancel cable and stream your shows instead. Get Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus. Shop around with your insurance premiums for the best rates. So if you are an Allstate customer, you can switch to Progressive, and then if you're a current Progressive insurance holder, then you can always switch to State Farms, and you just gotta like shop around like which rate is saving you more money, and then they also rival the coverage amount that they have for the other company. Meaning, like if you have like Progressive, and then you have like this, like X, Y, and Z, and then if you find out that Allstate also have X, Y, and Z, but it costs you like maybe 200, 300 less, then you probably want to go with Allstate or the more cheaper insurance company. Also, reduce how much you eat out and switching your cell phone provider. Again, if T-Mobile is too expensive for you, then switch on over to Verizon, and then if Verizon is too expensive for you, switch over to AT&T, and then if AT&T is too expensive, you want to switch to another company. Of course, this is all hypothetical. I'm just using this for a example. Of course, it's not an exhaustive list, but these are just some examples. So when creating your budget, keep in mind that a budget serves as a guide. It is not something to constrain your spending, it's just a way how to track your own spending. So you want it to be practical and realistic. An effective spending plan must be based on reality. You may want to spend only $20 a month on gas for your car, but is that realistic? You may want to start riding your bike rather than driving, but is that really practical? As you work through your spending plan, be sure to keep it realistic. Do not set yourself up for failure. Also, you want to make sure that your budget is easy to understand. And the simplest form of spending plan is a list of money coming in and going out. Although this, it's also, although you want to keep it, you just want to keep this process simple as possible. And reflection for your needs. The spending plan needs to be customized to fit just you. It should reflect the way you spend your money. Anyone who spends the money, such as you and your significant other, should be involved in the budgeting process. And lastly, for your necessities and funds. So you and your family work hard for your money, and of course you think that you make sacrifices that you do for your family. It bears repeating that your spending plan should not be so restrictive that you do not have room for some of life's pleasures. There are times where everyone needs to cut back, but it is reasonable and expected that people will build up their spending plan with some money for pleasure and as well as necessities. Okay, this is the 4 primary elements of a budget. So 1, you have your income. So with your income, you have your gross income, which is the total pay before your taxes and deductions. Your net income is your gross income after taxes and deductions. So once the taxes and your deductions hit your income, then that will be called your net income. So net income, again, is your gross income after your taxes and deductions. Of course, your taxes could be federal income tax, state income tax, and other deductions can be like your FICA Social Security and FICA Medicare. And you also have your take-home pay, which is the income that hits your account. Then you have your disposable income, which is income remaining after deduction of your taxes and other mandatory charges available to be spent or saved up. Okay, savings and investments, which is the second pillar. The saving section of your budget should be regular monthly contributions to some types of a saving account that does not get pulled out during the month to pay expenses. This would be like a regular savings contribution for an emergency fund or a goal-based fund for your retirement, 401k, 457, 403b, or your TSP, thrift savings plan for U.S. Government employees and military. And also your regular investments, like if you want to take up day trading or swing trading or just your general brokerage account, you just buy and hold onto these assets and then you sell them when they're high value, or if the fundamentals of that asset just changes and it just doesn't line up to your beliefs. The third way is expenses. Your living expenses include groceries, gas, insurance, homeowners, renter insurance, life insurance, health insurance, general insurance, car insurance. You also have your electricity, utilities. Utilities would be your gas, water, lawn care, pest control. Make sure that you don't have any unwanted pests in your house. Child care, if you have a child. Charitable giving. Charitable giving will be like you're giving money to the Red Cross, or if you're giving money to like a YMCA or the Boys and Girls Club of America. And also, of course, your mortgage and your rent. Savings, like other items deducted from your net income, is an expense. While people may be putting away for another purpose or for another goal, it is still something that they are currently spending money on. According to the latest data from the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, the personal savings rate in the U.S. in February 2020 was 7.2%. A little bit more recently, for February 2021, which is 1 year later, it is 13.6%. Compare that to the fact that the average millionaire saves at least 10 to 20% of their disposable income. What I would recommend, or well, what most people recommend, is use 10 to 20% as a guideline for setting up your monthly savings goals. So 10 to 20% should be actually saved up. Rather, um, some should be in your emergency fund, and of course, some in your investing. Of course, savings they only give you like less than 1%. Of course, you can't really save your way up to wealth, but you at least use the savings for a few things. Have it for your emergency fund, which is, if anything like really goes wrong, you can at least fall back on this. Of course, you want to make sure that it's actually liquid. Another way, number two, you want to have money set aside for a goal base, because of course a whole lot of people, they really don't want to take out debt, or they try to take out debt, but instead of actually taking out debt in order to buy like a consumer item, like whether it be a new laptop or a new TV, then at least save up for a short term savings, and then use that money to pay for that new TV or a new cell phone or a new laptop, instead of you just going to debt. And of course, third, you might want to have like a specialized reserve fund. You could use this for if you have a car, and then you would put money aside for your car, so you'll be able to get like an oil change, get your tires rotated, to get your car smogged for inspection, to pay for your yearly, annual car registration, and of course, all of the things. Well, at least for savings. And then, of course, with your investing, it would be for your retirement and general brokerage account, at least. So you can actually at least set up a passive yet sustained source of income. And of course, the fourth pillar is indebtedness. The indebtedness is all your outstanding consumer debt that's going to be part of your budget. You put here, which is your car loans, credit card balance, personal loans, unpaid taxes, and all of their money that you owe, like child support and marriage alimony. Okay, debt to income. Debt to income is the ratio, which is the percentage of your gross monthly income that goes to paying your monthly debt. So essentially, a low debt to income ratio demonstrates a good balance between your debt and your income. In other words, if your debt to income ratio is 15%, that means 15% of your monthly gross income goes to debt repayments each month. Conversely, a high debt to income ratio, considering that individual has way too much debt for the amount of income earned each month. So typically, borrowers with low DTIs are likely to be able to manage their monthly debts a little bit more effectively. As a result, banks and financial credit providers want to see low DTIs before issuing loans to a potential borrower. The preference for low DTIs makes sense, since lenders want to be sure that the borrower isn't really overextended, meaning that they have way too many debt repayments relative to their personal income. So, as a general guideline, 43% is the highest DTI rate. Is the highest DTI ratio a borrower can have and still get qualified for a mortgage. Ideally, lenders prefer a debt to income ratio lower than 36%, which is no more than 28% of that debt going towards servicing a mortgage or a rent payment. The maximum DTI varies from lender to lender. However, the lower the DTI is, the better the chances that the borrower will be approved for some credit. So the ideal breakdown of your total net income would be 70, 20, 10. 70% of your net income should be going towards living expenses: food, clothing, housing, insurance, hobbies, and entertainment. But no more than 20% of your income should be going towards your debts, as indicated by your debt to income ratio, at least ideally. And then finally, at least 10% should be going towards savings: retirement, goal savings, emergency fund, and your investments. Of course, percentage will vary in different households based on different lifestyles, but these guidelines still prove very effective in helping build wealth and keeping debt to a reasonable level. At least this is what I'm being taught by my employer. Of course, you probably might heard of that 50-30-20 rule, but my employer is actually teaching me the 70-20-10 rule. And of course, I'll be, the U.S. government, more specifically well, at least what I've learned from my military affiliation, the 70-20-10 rule. Okay, again, in order to figure out your DTI ratio, you take your monthly debt payments divided by your net income and multiply it by 100. So, in my opinion, or at least what I've been taught by my employer due to uh, my affiliation with the military, um, less than 15%, you want to use caution. You're good, but you want to use caution. If you're 15 to 20%, you're fully extended. So try not to make any more. Try not to apply for more credit, and then actually, if you do get that credit, then try to be. You're fully extended. You might have just a little bit more leeway, but you just want to again use caution, but you still fully extended. If you're 21 to 30%, then you're overextended, and you really should not have take on or making a whole lot more debt payments relative to your income. And then if you're greater than 30%, then you really need to seek help. Okay, aside from financial training from my employer, of course, due to that I remember from my military affiliation. Well, more specifically, the Navy itself, again with the 70-20 rule as opposed to the 50-30-20 rule. I actually learned how to. Well, aside from that, I also learned how to take it to the next level from a particular book. Now, this book that I have and I'm actually talking about is one of the best personal finance books that I ever read that is currently in my library, and I would recommend it to anyone. Now, this book has inspired me to consider open up a Roth IRA, open up a high yield savings account at an online bank instead of a regular brick and mortar bank, like your Wells Fargo's, Bank of America, like those really big banks. Um, to begin setting aside money in that same high yield savings account. 4, it gave me the courage to call my credit card company to attempt to negotiate to lower my APR on my credit card. 5, it also helped me pay my bills using my credit union bill pay feature instead of manually paying my bills. And lastly, to automate my long-term investments, invest in a robo-advisor for wealth creation through index funds. Uh, invest in dividend income from the financial markets, invest in crowdfunding real estate properties, and also for my goal-based investing. Because my current goal-based investment, I'm actually using the stock market in order to fund my in order to finance the starting cost of my business through bootstrapping through also a robo-advisor. And that book I'm actually referring to is this one. I Will Teach You to Be Rich, second edition. No guilt, no excuses, no BS. Just a 6-week program that works by Ramit Sethi. And Ramit Sethi is that person. So essentially, the gist of this book is a really, really, really good book. Of course, again, it inspired me to open up a Roth IRA, in order to open up a high yield savings account at an online bank. To begin setting aside money in that same high yield savings account. So I have some savings. Gave me courage to call my credit card company to attempt to negotiate to lower my APR on my credit card. Pay my bills using my credit union bill pay feature instead of manually paying my bills. And of course, to automate my long-term investments. I was already investing before, but it wasn't automated because I was manually doing it. So again, the book right here, I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. So essentially, the gist of this book is, again, automating your finances. So step 1, you want to set up your direct deposit. The first step to putting your money on autopilot is to automate how you get paid. Of course, over the last 20 plus years, direct deposit has become the norm for businesses and payroll companies. Not only is direct deposit simple to use, but it's also much more efficient. Because of this, many businesses now require their employees to use direct deposit than receiving paper checks. If your employer offers a direct deposit option, Elect to have it. Uh, Elect to have your paycheck sent to your checking account on payday. Most of the time, you will only have to fill out the direct deposit paperwork once you, in order to start the automation on automating your finances. Okay, step two, simplify your bills. So once you have chosen to have your pay deposited directly into your account, the next step is to simplify your bills. Ideally, most bills will be due around the same time of the month, which can usually be accomplished by calling each company that you pay your bills to and asking. So, for example, in order to, like for me, I have T-Mobile for my cell phone provider, and then all I have to do is just like call them and then tell them to change my billing cycle to a payday, and then when payday comes, then my bill will be paid on that payday. But if you get paid twice a month, like I do, you have two options. First, you can elect to have all your bills sent to you on the first of the month. In this case, you'll need to be aware of your cash flow throughout the month so that you don't overspend between your paychecks. And the second option is to split your bills between your paychecks. In that sense, you can have half of your bills sent to you first, and then you can have the other half sent to you on the 15th. And step number three, which in my opinion is, where the fun part gets, is called pay yourself first. So to start, you should have money deducted from your paycheck and place it to a company-sponsored retirement plan like a 401k. Now, if you do it the traditional way, this money is deducted pre-tax, which is a great advantage to your saving goals for retirement. Plus, your company will likely match a percentage of your earnings, even up to 5% of your salary, increasing the amount of money you save each year considerably. So me, I don't have a 401k, but I do have a 401k equivalent. It's called a thrift savings plan or the TSP. Um, Essentially, there's a traditional option, then there's a Roth option, and then I think I can also do both traditional and um, Roth. Then of course the maximum is, I think for 2021, I think every year it changes. I think it's about 19,500 that you can actually put in yearly. And then if your company do not have a 401k plan, then you can open up a traditional IRA. And then if you're self-employed, you can probably open up a SEP IRA. Also, you want to put some money into a Roth IRA that can grow tax free. And then, of course, ask your payroll company or bank to have a portion of your earnings directly deposited into an online high yield savings account. And that's actually what I've actually did. I've actually went to my payroll website, and then I actually took like a small portion of my my not really my take home pay, but it was actually my gross pay before, like taxes and everything else hit it. I actually told them to send a portion of that into another online bank, and then I'm actually going to let that grow. So just in case if anything really, really do happen to me bad, in a bad way financially, that I should have like some money saved up. The only downside is I have to wait like 2 to 3 business days, but it's much better than me, racking up a credit card debt or not having a savings account at all. Okay, and also you want to open up a regular brokerage account and invest your money. With that, for some people don't want to like take up trading, so they'll probably open up a brokerage account for the trading, like for day trading or swing trading. So they're probably like every month they're probably gonna take some of that money and then put it into that account. Then when the account hits, and then they'll like trade. They're probably gonna like trade options, trade futures, trade stocks or whatnot for like that. But for me, I use M1 Finance. It's a really great investment platform. So M1 Finance gives you the option of choosing from one of their pre-made diversified portfolios, or you can actually customize your own ETFs or stocks of your choice. So I use that brokerage for dividend income investing to supplement, and then eventually replace my employer's paycheck when I actually move on in life. And most definitely in order to supplement my gig work for sure, because my gig work, what I actually do on the side, I think pre-pandemic and then post-pandemic, I'm actually gonna go back to doing right here. I actually do deliver food. You could think of like the DoorDash, Grubhub type of work, so I actually do that. I also put some money into a short-term, mid-term goal. Again, just like how I alluded to earlier, for your short-term goal, you might want to save up for like a new laptop or a new computer instead of you just like going to credit card debt. But for my midterm and short-term goal, I actually do that. I actually use a certificate of deposit for my for those abnormal spending. Like I probably put some money aside for my vehicle registration, and then since I actually do drive a whole lot, I probably save some money. That just probably just like a little bit of money going to a CJ, so I'll be able to pay for my car maintenance. Like oil change plus rotating my tires, and then if I have any breaks, then I probably have that money saved up instead of me just constantly going to unneeded or unnecessary debt. But also, I use Betterment, which is a robo advisor that invest my money into like very low cost ETF that suits my investment style. But with that, I use Betterment. Currently, I'm using that in order to fund my upcoming business, or essentially, I'm trying to like bootstrap it instead of me actually like trying to like apply for a loan, because I don't think I quite qualify for a loan just yet, or at least I want to at least get most of the funding out of pocket, and then probably like for the remaining, I probably have like that loan on standby, and then when I really do need like probably like an emergency or in order to get my business floating during like the slow seasons, then I probably use that business fund. But I actually want to use like most of my my startup financing through bootstrapping. And by bootstrapping, what I mean is I'm taking some of my money out of pocket, so I'm getting any grants, like that. And of course, step 4 is set up your bills on auto pay. So since you already have direct deposit, and then you simplify your bills, and then you're saving up for investing, then excuse me. Then next, what you want to do is log on to your bank or your credit union, then set up bill pay. So with this, both online and traditional banks offer online banking options, which usually include online bill pay. So you can actually set your bills on auto pay through your own bank. So you just log into your bank, enter in the billing information at a day that you actually want to pay it each month, and then you're done. And then lastly, step 6. Now you want to make sure that you have money left over to buy for for groceries, pay for gas, and all other discretionary spending. I like going to the movies. That's a discretionary. I don't need to, but I actually do like going to the movies, and probably like eat out. And this is typically where the spending tends to veer off budget. So spending, so essentially you want to like automate everything, and then you spend the rest. So essentially, the bottom line is, you can automate many of your monthly financial tasks. No plan will ever going to be 100% perfect or 100% automatic, because you still need to keep an eye out on where your money is going and where it is leaving your account in order to avoid any problems. Additionally, you need to be sure that you're spending a little bit of time each month budgeting for non-occurring expenses. And of course, as you pay off your debt, whatever money that you use to pay off your debt, instead of actually going to your living expenses, actually go back and at least take that money and then add more into your investing and then your savings. And I'm pretty sure that your future self will actually going to thank you. So yeah, this is also Discussions. My name is Sethi Dawson Jr., and I will see you next time for my next video. All right, stay tuned.